or you're all going to be nice and quiet so I can go and calm down a bit? Because I'm a bit...
Nick.
Yes.
What's your favourite console?
Console for me is probably the Super Nintendo, just because that was my main console growing up. Computer's going to be the Oric, it's my weakness, I'm afraid. And all got a 16K Oric they don't want, I'll happily take it off your hands. And then what about you?
One person buying.
Console is probably... It's a difficult one, because I'm not really a console person, I'm more of a computer person. Console.
Computer then, go on.
Computers, probably, there's two computers that I really love, and that's probably the Sinclair Spectrum. Rubber key version is also, was the best one, and probably the Commodore 64. I've got a bit of a passion for the VIC-20 as well at the minute, which is a bit odd because it's not the best machine in the world.
No.
Console, it's got to be Sega Dreamcast, most underrated console, definitely. Yeah. Computer, it has to be a Commodore Amiga. So I had one for 10 years, as long as I've owned any machine, it lasted the whole time. Brilliant.
And if I can follow this up, do you think it's the nostalgia thing that makes that your favourite console, rather than, say, the design of something else, or the look of it, or...
For me, yes.
Not for me, because I'm a programmer as well. I can go back to the Spectrum any time and knock a game together in a few minutes. Whereas, today's PCs, to do a game, you've got to have a degree in computers, basically.
And £600 worth of software, or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I'd like to say about it is the games of today. I do play games now, but not that many. But I've sort of got back to the 8-bit of the Spectrum or the 64. I know the game into one of those to play the game, because I know the gameplay's there. Whereas I think a lot of the games now, the graphics are stunning, granted, and the soundtracks are awesome. But where's the gameplay sometimes? You've lost that edge of the gameplay, I feel. That's just my personal opinion, but so many of the PC games are just flat. There's nothing there. Even though the graphics just hurt, they literally hurt your eyes, like watching a movie. But where is the gameplay gone? It's, like platform games, for example.
I worry that you don't need to use your imagination with modern games, whereas the ZX81 game where you had 3 blobs and that was the monster.
Exactly. Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Entirely. It's like the old days of the pixel perfect jumping and gone out the window now. There's so much leeway. It just there's no.
So I'm quite interested in this because I think that it's quite you touch it with children not understanding how to load or tape. My friend's a school teacher who said that, says to the kids, stop going like a scratch record, and that just goes right over their head. You've got to corrupt MP3 nowadays, sort of. I think that's an interesting point from the museum's point of view, is to actually engage with certainly children and other generations who didn't obviously have the machines that they have now, to give them a taste of that all and be an interesting project. So, I think it's quite very interesting thing to be undertaking, and I hope we can find a place in the East Midlands. My dad runs a radio museum, and they've had some success in getting a lottery grant.
I guess you probably. One of the problems we do have, we are debating whether to become a charity. There's so many pitfalls with doing that it's very difficult, because obviously if you become a charity, you've got more chance of people giving you funding, but you also lose the chance. There is the chance of losing control as well, and I started it, but it's no longer mine. It is still mine, but there's so many people around me that I couldn't do without.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like them to lose it, or me to lose that control I've got. So it's very difficult at the moment.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. What are your views on emulators of classic retro systems, and do you actually encounter or use those?
Personally, I like emulators for ease, but I'd rather have the real system in front of me. I did with 40 personal systems of my own. If I had them all down, I wouldn't be a married man anymore. Quite a few agreements there. Fortunately, my wife does understand. She does like the Mega Drive SNES era. She plays lots of games there. But there's something about having that real system in front of you so much better. I spoke to somebody earlier. We had the Robotic Liberation demo running on the VIC-20 in the main room. Yeah, you've seen it, yeah? And he said, I've seen it on YouTube, but I've never seen it on the real hardware, and it looks so much better.
He had a major job to get it to work, because the hardware he was coding on was
Was it an old part or assembly release?
Assembly.
Assembly,
yeah.
Release music stuff.
Yeah.
I agree with Carl, to be honest with you. I mean, the emulation is fantastic because it also allows you to play games that you probably wouldn't be able to have normally, and systems. But at the end of the day, if you've got the proper system in front of you, it's like the Spectrum emulator. So I've got a Spectrum emulator on my DS. It's fantastic. I can sit and play Spectrum games all day. But it's nothing like having a rubber key Spectrum or a Plus 2 in front of you and playing that as well. Yeah.
Or waiting 10 minutes for it to load off tape.
In fact, you see my Oric, I load stuff off laptop because Orics are always awkward anyway. It makes it a little bit more secure for it. It doesn't still work. I took me 3 attempts to get manual mine loaded earlier, but it seems to work better. Emulation, click, 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 you've got the game. So, any other questions at all, Anthony?
Worry you that using these computers eventually they're going to die on you?
They're not going to die on us.
No.
Let me say...
Do you not just want to wrap one in plastic and just say don't use it?
No, definitely not. The reason we say that is because there's 2 or 3 of our members, myself included a little bit, that can, like I was saying, Richard, one of our guys, is pretty much a genius. We've just recently purchased some chips from the States that the memory chips basically, the things usually die first before the processors. We've got quite a few processors we're flying about. We've got some memory chips now, and what we can do is replace the memory chips. The worst thing that could probably happen in a lot of things, I mean, we've got a Memotech, we've got 2 Memotechs, and both of them have died. The reason one of them's died is because the power supply's gone. Well, in that case, we wouldn't need a power supply. Not a problem. Just building, we know what voltage it kicks out, new power supply, job done. So, actually storing them away now, I think that's sacrilege, because we've got a ZX80, we do take it to the shows, but we don't let people tend to play on it. Although my feelings about that have changed a little bit, because we've just found some flicker-free games for it. We've just found a Pac-Man and a Space Invaders has been around a while, but there's a Pac-Man just come out that's completely flicker-free, and I think they'll show now. I think that people ought to be able to play on it. So putting them away, they're fully boxed and immaculate, maybe. But you've still got to get, if you've got 2 versions of the same machine, get one of them out. Putting them in the box, what use is it going to be? You could take it out of the box in 20 years and it could have died in its box, which does happen.
I think the whole idea of the museum, isn't it? It wants to be a hands-on museum where you can actually use them as opposed to just sitting and looking at them. You don't get the real experience of it. It's definitely the way we want it to be.
A good example of this, we've got a Commodore PET that's 30 years old. The graphics ROM died, literally died completely. So we burnt the ROM, put that into the machine, it worked fine. 3 weeks later, one of the memory chips died. Got it out, put a new one in. It's working fine.
It's the one that's in the room today, so it's still working.
It's for a machine that's 30 years old, it's been going all day today, and we've been loading games all day on it, and it's fantastic. Especially because it's a machine that wasn't really wasn't made for games. We've got Scramble on at the moment, and it's absolutely fantastic version of Scramble. I'm sure Commodore, if they were still around, would be a little upset with that, but we love it anyway.
Yes, along the lines of exactly the failure you just mentioned, I had a big 20 that had a ROM that failed, and I didn't know where to begin to find a source to actually burn any ROM. Probably either 2708 or 2760.
Yeah, basically, if you want to talk to us, we can burn ROMs.
But now, okay.
Now, now.
Not this minute, but
If you do need any help with
that
that.
was just a comment you made before about Commodore, if they were around, might have something to say, but they don't.
It's a shame they're not around because they did make some fantastic computers. It's probably one of the Amigas, especially the 64s and the big 20s, without those sort of computers, especially the Amiga.
Yes.
I mean, I'm a graphic designer, and I wouldn't be doing the job I'm doing now without the Amiga, because Deluxe Paint, although it's very basic, it just so intuitive. You just use it, so anybody can draw with it. It's as simple as that.
I would call it transcendent, frankly.